My parents messaged, "We're too tired from your sister's dance practice to attend your college graduation tomorrow." So I replied, "No problem, I understand." And when my billionaire grandpa publicly announced I was his heir and gave me his $800 million company, they showed up begging. Hi everyone. Before we dive in, show some love by subscribing and commenting where in the world you're joining us from. Alright, let's get back to the story. The notification lit up my phone at 9:47 p.m., exactly 12 hours before I was supposed to walk across that stage. 4 years of late nights, part-time jobs, and crushing student debt were about to culminate in one moment. My college graduation. I was the first in my immediate family to earn a degree, and I'd done it while working 40 hours a week at a call center. My hand trembled as I opened the group text from Mom. "Sweetie, we're exhausted from Maya's dance practice today. She has regionals next month and we spent 6 hours at the studio. We just don't think we can make it tomorrow. You understand, right? We're so proud of you though." I read it 3 times. Then 4. The words blurred as tears pooled in my eyes. Maya was my younger sister, 19, talented and undeniably my parents' favorite. I'd known this my whole life, but I never expected it to cost me this moment. Dad chimed in, "Your mother's right. We're beat. Plus, it's a 3-hour drive. We'll celebrate when you come home next month." Next month. Like my graduation was a dentist appointment we could reschedule. I sat on the edge of my bed in my tiny studio apartment, the one with the leaky faucet I couldn't afford to fix properly. My black graduation gown hung on the closet door, pressed and ready. I'd bought a new dress. Nothing fancy, just something that made me feel worthy of the moment. My phone buzzed again. "Maya, sorry sis. But you get it, right? This competition could get me into Juilliard." I wanted to scream. Sleep didn't come that night. Instead, memories played like a cruel highlight reel. I was 8 years old again, watching Mom and Dad miss my elementary school science fair because Maya had a recital. "You'll have other fairs," Mom had said, kissing my forehead absently. "Maya only gets one shot at this role." I'd won 2nd place. The trophy sat in my childhood bedroom, dusty and forgotten on the bottom shelf, while Maya's dance awards gleamed on the mantel. High school graduation? They'd attended but left early for Maya's dance-intensive interview. My valedictorian speech echoed to their empty seats in the back row. I'd gotten a full academic scholarship to college. A state school, nothing Ivy League, but full tuition. Dad had said, "That's great, honey," while writing a check for Maya's private dance academy enrollment. 22 years of being the responsible one, the self-sufficient one, the one who didn't need as much attention. 22 years of watching my parents' eyes light up when Maya entered a room while I remained perpetually in the peripheral vision of their love. But this, missing my college graduation? This was different. This was the culmination of every sacrifice I'd made. Every ramen dinner. Every double shift. Every time I'd studied until 3 a.m. and then reported to work at 6. I picked up my phone and typed a response. "No problem. I understand." 3 words that felt like swallowing glass. Then I added, "Don't worry about it. Enjoy your rest." Mom sent back a heart emoji. Just one. Dad didn't respond at all. Maya sent a selfie from her bed with the caption, "Self-Care Sunday." I didn't sleep. The morning arrived with cruel sunshine. I'd imagined this day so many times, scanning the crowd for familiar faces. That moment when they'd call my name and I'd see Mom crying happy tears, Dad with his camera, maybe even Maya cheering despite her usual disinterest in my achievements. Instead, I got ready alone. I did my makeup carefully, concealing the dark circles that told the story of my sleepless night. The face staring back at me in the mirror looked older than 22. Tired. Done. My phone stayed silent. No "good luck" texts. No "we're thinking of you." Nothing. The ceremony was beautiful. The auditorium buzzed with families, balloons, flowers, and cameras. I sat in my assigned seat, surrounded by classmates who kept turning around to wave at their people. Laverne, 2 seats down, had at least 15 family members in matching t-shirts with her face on them. Eugene's grandmother was crying before the ceremony even started. I had no one. In a crowd of thousands, I'd never felt more invisible. When they called my name, Graduating summa cum laude with a degree in business administration, I walked across that stage with my head high. The applause was polite, generic. No whooping. No, that's my baby. No standing ovation from my corner of the world. I accepted my diploma, shook the dean's hand, and smiled for the official photographer. The flash went off, capturing what I knew would be a picture I'd never frame. After the ceremony, I stood outside watching reunions everywhere. Tears, hugs, laughter. I took a selfie with my diploma, posted it online with a caption about hard work paying off, and drove back to my apartment alone. I was still in my graduation dress, eating leftover Chinese food straight from the container when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this speaking? A woman's voice, professional and warm. Yes, this is she. My name is Emerson Wright. I'm an attorney with Morrison & Associates. I'm calling regarding your grandfather, Theodore Williams. My grandfather. I hadn't heard that name in years. My father's father. A man I'd met exactly 3 times in my life. The last time was at my great-aunt's funeral when I was 12. He'd been this tall, imposing figure in an expensive suit, the kind of man who commanded a room just by entering it. Is he okay? I asked, though I barely knew him well enough to feel the appropriate emotion. Mr. Williams is in excellent health, Emerson said. He's requested a meeting with you. Tomorrow if possible. He sent a car service to bring you to his estate. All expenses covered, of course. I sat up straighter. Tomorrow? Why? He'll explain everything when you arrive. Can I confirm you'll be there? The car will arrive at 9 a.m. My mind raced. I had nothing planned. My parents were presumably still recovering from being so tired, and my part-time job didn't need me until Thursday. What did I have to lose? I'll be there, I said. Excellent. The driver will have all the information. And, congratulations on your graduation. Mr. Williams wanted me to convey that specifically. My breath caught. How did he know about my graduation? Your grandfather knows more than you might think. Her tone was kind, almost knowing. See you tomorrow. The black town car that pulled up to my building at 8:55 a.m. looked like it cost more than 3 years of my rent. The driver, an older gentleman in a pristine suit, greeted me by name and held the door open like I was somebody important. Good morning, Miss Williams. I'm James. Mr. Williams is very much looking forward to seeing you. The interior smelled like leather and luxury. There was bottled water, fresh fruit, and a note in elegant handwriting. Thank you for coming. We have much to discuss. Grandfather. We drove for 2 hours through increasingly affluent neighborhoods until we reached an area where properties were measured in acres, not square feet. Iron gates opened automatically as we approached, revealing a tree-lined driveway that seemed to stretch for a mile. The estate was breathtaking. Not a house, an estate. Manicured gardens, a fountain, stone architecture that looked like it belonged in a European countryside. I'd known my grandfather was wealthy. I hadn't known he was this wealthy. James opened my door. Mr. Williams is waiting in the library. A woman in her 50s met me at the entrance. I'm Margaret, Mr. Williams's house manager. This way, please. My sneakers squeaked slightly on the marble floors. I felt underdressed in my simple jeans and blouse, surrounded by artwork that probably cost more than my education. We passed rooms that seemed to serve singular purposes. A music room, a formal dining room that could seat 30, a conservatory with floor-to-ceiling windows. Then the library. Walls lined with books from floor to ceiling, a fireplace, leather chairs, and there, standing by the window, was Theodore Williams. He turned and I saw my father's eyes in an older, wiser face. Granddaughter, he said, his voice strong despite his 78 years. He didn't move toward me immediately, just studied my face with an intensity that made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. Grandfather, I replied, unsure of the protocol. Should I hug him? Shake his hand? He solved the problem by crossing the room and pulling me into an embrace. It was brief but warm. He smelled like expensive cologne and old books. You look like your grandmother, he said, stepping back. She'd be so proud of you. Summa cum laude. while working full-time. Remarkable. You knew about that? His smile was sad. I've known about everything. Every dean's list. Every scholarship. Every award you didn't receive at home because Maya had something more important that day. The bitterness in his voice was palpable. Sit. We have a great deal to discuss. I sank into a leather chair that probably cost more than my car. He sat across from me, hands folded, suddenly looking every bit the powerful businessman he apparently was. 20 years ago I cut your father out of my life, he began. Do you know why? I shook my head. Because he chose to emulate his mother, my ex-wife, rather than learn from her mistakes. Favoritism. Conditional love. Emotional manipulation. I watched him do to you what was done to him as a child and it broke my heart. He paused, jaw tight. His younger brother, your Uncle Gilbert, was the golden child. Your father was the afterthought. It destroyed him. And now he's doing the same to you. Tears pricked my eyes. Why didn't you reach out? Pride. Stubbornness. And honestly, I thought he might change. But I've had investigators keeping tabs. Investigators. My voice came out smaller than I intended. Grandfather leaned forward, his expression gentle but serious. I'm dying. The words hit like a physical blow. What? Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. I have perhaps 6 months, maybe less. He held up a hand to stop my protest. I've made my peace with it. I've lived a full life. Built an empire. But I have no heir who deserves it. My mind reeled. Uncle Gilbert. Squandered every opportunity one gave him. He's on his 3rd wife, 4th bankruptcy, and has the business sense of a goldfish. His tone was matter-of-fact, not cruel. Your father chose to distance himself and follow in his mother's toxic footsteps. I have 14 grandchildren total. Do you know how many have bothered to visit me in the last 5 years? I shook my head. 0. Except now, suddenly, 3 of them have called since my diagnosis became known. Funny how money makes people caring. The sarcasm was sharp. But you didn't even know I was watching. You worked yourself through college. You maintained a 4.0 while working 40 hours a week. You volunteered at a literacy program every Saturday morning for 3 years. You did all of this without any support from your family. How do you know about the literacy program? I know everything. He pulled out a folder thick with documents. I also know your parents spent $60,000 on Maya's dance training in the last 4 years. Private coaches, costumes, travel. Do you know how much they contributed to your education? The silence was answer enough. $2,000. Total. Once. And they made you feel grateful for it. Grandfather opened the folder and spread documents across the coffee table between us. Financial statements, property deeds, corporate structures. A dizzying array of wealth. Williams Holdings, he said. I started with one dry cleaning business in 1972. Today we own 87 businesses across 12 states. Commercial real estate. Manufacturing. 3 hotel chains. The company is worth approximately $800 million. I couldn't breathe. 800 million. The number didn't even seem real. I'm offering you a choice, he continued. I can liquidate everything, donate it to charity, and let my bloodline end with me. Or, he looked at me with such hope it hurt. You can become my heir. Take over the company. Learn the business. Carry on what I've built. Why me? I whispered. You barely know me. Because character isn't genetic, it's forged. You've been forged in fire that your sister, your cousins, even your father never experienced. You know the value of money because you've had to earn every cent. You understand hard work. You have empathy because you've suffered. And most importantly, he paused, emotion cracking his composed exterior. You kept going. You didn't become bitter. You didn't quit. You graduated summa cum laude on a day when your own parents couldn't be bothered to show up, and you did it with dignity. You knew about yesterday? I knew they wouldn't come. I've watched them disappoint you for years. Yesterday was simply the final proof I needed. He pushed a document toward me. This is a contract. Accept it and you'll begin training immediately. You'll work directly with me for whatever time I have left. Learn everything. Meet every key player. When I'm gone, you'll inherit Williams Holdings in its entirety. My hands shook as I reached for the paper. I read the contract 3 times, but the words kept swimming. This wasn't just money, it was responsibility. Power. A complete transformation of everything I understood about my life and my place in the world. I need you to understand something, grandfather said softly. This isn't charity. This is earned. You've already proven yourself worthy. I'm simply giving you the opportunity you should have had from birth. What about Dad? Uncle Gilbert? This will destroy what's left of your relationships with them. His laugh was harsh. What relationships? Your father hasn't called me in 15 years except when he needed money for Maya's dance academy. He chose his path. I'm choosing mine. And Maya? My mother. They made their choices too. Every time they dismissed you. Every time they made you feel small. Every graduation, every achievement, every moment they should have shown up and didn't. His eyes bore into mine. You don't owe them loyalty they've never shown you. He was right. God, he was right, and it hurt to admit it. There's a press conference scheduled for next Friday, he continued. I'm announcing my succession plan. You can either be there as my heir or I proceed with option 1, liquidation. I won't force this on you. But I need an answer by tomorrow morning. I looked around the library at the evidence of a lifetime of building something meaningful. Then I thought about my studio apartment, my beat-up car, the collection of ramen packets in my cabinet. I thought about sitting alone at my graduation. About being too tired from Maya's practice. I need to ask you something, I said. Did you ever try to reconcile with Dad? Really try? Grandfather's face softened with old pain. More times than you can imagine. But there comes a point when you realize some people have chosen who they want to be. I stayed at the estate that night. Margaret showed me to a guest room that was larger than my entire apartment, with a bathroom that had heated floors and a shower with 6 different settings. I lay in a bed with sheets that probably cost more than my monthly rent, staring at the ceiling. My phone buzzed. Mom, how was graduation? Sorry we missed it. Maya's regionals are in 2 weeks. Can you come? It would mean so much to her. The audacity. The sheer, breathtaking audacity. I typed and deleted 5 responses before settling on, I'll let you know. Then I opened my phone's photo album. Every achievement, documented in solitary selfies. My high school graduation, me alone with my diploma. My scholarship announcement, me alone in front of the mailbox. My first day of college, first day at my job, every milestone. Me alone. And then the pictures of Maya. Family photos where everyone's eyes were on her. Mom and Dad flanking her at recitals. Group shots where I was barely in frame, cropped out by the focus on my sister. At 6 a.m. I found grandfather in his study, already working despite the early hour. I'll do it, I said without preamble. I'll be your heir. His face transformed, years seeming to fall away as he smiled. You're certain? Yes. But I have conditions. He raised an eyebrow, impressed. Name them. First, I want to earn this. I'll work harder than anyone. I'll learn everything. This won't be a handout. Agreed. Second, when you announce this, I don't want to blindside them completely. I'll tell my parents myself the night before the press conference. That's generous, considering. It's not generosity. It's closure. I met his eyes. I need to see their faces. I need them to know that this is the consequence of their choices. His smile was proud and a little fierce. You're going to be magnificent. The next 5 days were a whirlwind. Grandfather introduced me to his team, lawyers, accountants, executives who'd been with Williams Holdings for decades. Each meeting revealed another layer of the empire he'd built. The hotel chain that employed over 4,000 people. The manufacturing plants that made components for major automotive companies. The commercial real estate that included some of the most valuable properties in the region. Emerson Wright, the attorney who'd first called me, became my guide through the legal labyrinth. Your grandfather is thorough, she said as we reviewed succession documents. This has been in the works for 8 months. He's been preparing for this since his diagnosis. 8 months ago was right after my parents missed my awards ceremony, I realized. The one where I was honored for my volunteer work. Emerson nodded grimly. He attended that ceremony. Sat in the back. Watched you walk up alone to accept that award while your parents were at another one of Maya's dance competitions. The image of my grandfather, this man I barely knew, sitting alone in an auditorium to support me while my own parents couldn't be bothered, broke something open inside me. I learned about budgets, acquisitions, market analysis. Grandfather was demanding but patient, explaining complex concepts until I grasped them. You have instincts, he told me after I correctly identified a problem in a proposed merger. And intelligence. The rest is just experience. I stayed at the estate, commuting to my job only for my final shifts. I'd given notice. My manager was disappointed but understanding. You've been one of my best workers, she said. Whatever opportunity this is, you've earned it. On Thursday night, grandfather found me in the library, surrounded by financial reports. Tomorrow's the day, he said. Are you ready? To tell them or for the press conference? Both. I thought about my parents, about the conversation I'd have to have. Ready as I'll ever be. I called my parents that evening and asked them to meet me at a restaurant, neutral ground. They arrived 15 minutes late, Mom checking her phone constantly. What's this about? Dad asked, barely looking up from the menu. We have to get Maya to practice by 7. Always Maya. Always rushing for her. I ordered water and waited until they were settled. I had a meeting this week, I began. With grandfather Theodore. Dad's head snapped up. What? Why would you? He reached out to me. After my graduation. I kept my voice level, emotionless. The graduation you were too tired to attend. Mom had the grace to look uncomfortable. Honey, we explained. Let me finish. Something in my tone stopped her. Grandfather has cancer. 6 months to live. He's been watching me for years. He knows about every achievement, every milestone. He was at my volunteer awards ceremony last year. He's seen me succeed despite having no family support. That's not fair, Mom interjected. We've always supported you. When? The word came out sharp. When have you actually been there? Not financially, emotionally. When have I ever been the priority? The silence was damning. Tomorrow, grandfather is holding a press conference, I continued. He's announcing his succession plan. He's naming me as his heir. Williams Holdings, all $800 million of it, is becoming mine. Dad's face went white. 800. That's not possible. He wouldn't. He did. Because I earned it. Because I'm everything you raised Maya to be but never gave me credit for being. I stood, leaving cash on the table for my water. The press conference is at 10 a.m. tomorrow. You're welcome to attend, but frankly I don't care if you're there or not anymore. I've spent my whole life hoping you'd see me. Now the whole world will. I walked out, leaving them speechless. The press conference room was packed. Cameras, reporters, business journalists. Everyone wanted to hear what Theodore Williams had to announce. I stood backstage in a professional suit grandfather had commissioned for me, watching through a monitor as he took the podium. I built Williams Holdings from nothing, he began. And I've spent 30 years looking for someone worthy to carry it forward. Today, I'm proud to announce that person is my granddaughter. He gestured and I walked onto that stage. The cameras flashed like 1,000 small suns. In the front row I saw Emerson smiling. Margaret dabbing her eyes. And in the back, half hidden, I spotted my parents. He'd come. Of course they'd come. Not for my graduation but for this. Grandfather placed his hand on my shoulder. She's earned this through character, determination, and resilience. She's everything this company needs. The questions came rapidly, but I answered each one with the poise I'd learned that week. Yes, I just graduated college. Yes, I'd be training extensively. Yes, I understood the responsibility. No, I wasn't intimidated. After the conference, my parents tried to approach. Maya was with them, her face a mask of shock and something that looked like jealousy. Sweetie, Mom started, we had no idea. That grandfather had money? I asked quietly. Would it have mattered? Would you have shown up to my graduation if you'd known? The honest answer was in her eyes. Yes, they would have. And that was the saddest part of all. I needed you to see me for me, I said. Not for what I could give you. Not for money or status. Kiss me. But you never could. Dad reached out. We can fix this. No, I said gently. We can't. Because I don't need fixing. I never did. I just needed parents who cared enough to show up. I walked away from them. Toward my grandfather who waited with pride in his eyes. Toward a future I'd built with my own hands, validated at last not by my family's love, but by my own worth. 6 months later, grandfather passed peacefully in his sleep. I held his hand until the end. My parents sent flowers to the funeral. They arrived late. I ran Williams Holdings with everything he'd taught me and I built upon it. Not for revenge. Not to prove anything to my family. But because I'd finally learned what he'd been trying to show me. That my value was never determined by who showed up. It was determined by who I became when nobody was watching. And in the end, that was the greatest inheritance of all. Sometimes the family that sees your worth isn't the one you're born into. Sometimes it's the one you build. If this story resonated with you, remember, your value isn't measured by who shows up for you, it's measured by how you show up for yourself. If you found meaning in this story, please consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's build a community that celebrates the unseen achievers, the quiet warriors, the ones who succeed despite the odds. Your story matters too.